it's gonna cause you to die. I don't want, because I would rather have you stay alive for your longevity than to try and read off these SCPs because I don't like my friend dying. But then again,
Right.
that's up to you.
Well, no, I'm just going onto a list to like remind myself about some of them.
Yeah, boy.
All right. So. Oh wow, there's a bunch that I haven't seen on this channel. To go back and watch them. Why can't I scroll?
Oh. I need to fill up my water.
Whoa, the trackpad on my computer is being really... It's doing its... Dude, my trackpad has mind of its own right now.
It's sentient now?
Yeah, it's become an SCP.
Oh god. That's one, SCP mouse trackpad.
Yes.
I imagine there probably is already one.
Probably. Just like...
Oh. Here we go. One shot, one opportunity. Would you take it?
Sure.
Nope, I missed. Thank you, by the way.
Yep. Because I'm trying to find the actual, like, SCP name,
Find the one you're trying to think of?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I know all about the one that I'm trying to talk about. I just want to find the SCP name because they're all numbers. Okay, screw it. I'll just talk about it. People can find the SCP number. Oh, great. All right. So there's an SCP, and I think you'd like this one. So it's a storybook. Like an old leather-bound storybook.
Attention to the map.
And what's up?
I would say a leather-bound storybook.
Yeah, like an old book. And you, when you open it up, there's like, I think there's like no words or anything to it. So I think it just like says the title and whatever, and you read like just like this small amount of it, and then you close it, you know, and then the next time you fall asleep, it takes you on an adventure.
Huh.
So the book has a sentient spirit inside of it, and the sentient spirit is a high fantasy author. So,
okay.
Yep. So, the author will take you, the storyteller, will take you and make a world to your own design that you can live in as you dream. And to you, like, to you, it could last years. But in the real world, it's only like a matter of, you know, like just normal sleeping period, you know? And so, this, I killed that charioteer that killed the place, and I killed a corsair. Alright, anyway, so, say, if whatever, like, you'd want, the book, like your biggest fantasies, desires, whatever, the storyteller will try to keep you going and living on your adventure in the book as you go.
While you're dreaming.
While you're dreaming. And when you die, you wake up.
Huh.
But, so like you could be a gray old man or whatever, or like a mortal legend hero that finally falls in battle or whatever. Anything like that. So, it can be addicting, as you could probably imagine. So, there was a researcher, an SCP researcher, that kept going back to the book and decided that they wanted the book to keep them in there as long as possible. Like keep them in as long as possible. So he told the book this. I don't know if he wrote it or said it to the book directly, whatever. So the book complied, and the book managed to keep him in for, to the researchers' time, like 250 years.
Wow.
And when the researcher woke up, he realized that it was all just the book again. He forgotten, and he remembered everything, and he killed himself.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's some
but
but what's that movie? Inception level right there.
yeah, basically, there's a ton of just really cool stuff in that. Like you play Dungeons and Dragons as a DM.
How you do?
That this book is basically that, but you get to live it. You know what I mean?
Yep. It is the Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
And
might make that a magical item actually.
I just love that story because, like, obviously it's like really sucky and sad that the guy
I mean,
killed
technically,
himself,
he lived
but
a life. He lived a couple
he,
lives.
yeah, yeah, he lived for way longer than whatever, you know.
I would keep that
Technic-
book around. I would do like keep me in for 5 years and just teach myself everything about the world. Every single night, I'll live 5 years.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'll live whatever fantasy I ever want
Art,
to live. I'll fly.
artificially expand, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll just keep it around me, you know, kind of like a little thing.
yeah. Anyway, that's one of my favorite SCPs, just because, like, the idea of that, like,
So, would the dreams of it be?
they are real. They were 100% real to you.
But were the dreams shaped by what you asked it to give you, or does it just give you random ones? Is anything malice, evil behind it?
No evil behind it, and you can give it requests.
Huh.
Like, you can write in the book a request, and like that guy's request was basically to stay in there as long as possible. And the book managed to keep him alive in the story for like 250 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the storyteller, he writes the story, he sets up the story, but if you die in the story, you wake up. He can't control whether or not you die,
Right.
basically. But yeah, I just really love that story. Because, like, the implications of it, because I feel like it's going to tie into the future here pretty soon, actually, with like stuff like Neuralink that's being developed. Have you ever watched the show Black Mirror?
A little bit.
So in Black Mirror, there's like places that you can like plug into, like either your total consciousness or like upload your consciousness after you die or whatever, in their virtual worlds. I feel like there's going to be that in the future. Maybe not in our lifetimes, maybe in our lifetimes, I don't know. Where people with brain chips can lay down and enter the Matrix, basically, just
Right.
go on adventures. And I feel like, I don't know if there's going to be time dilation or whatever, like it's in the story, but I feel like something like that will be fairly interesting. I feel like there's a possibility. Like, will people in the future, when this technology is a thing, would they rather just live in the computer world in their story that was made for them? Or would they rather not? Or if they're unplugged from it and aren't allowed access again, would they off themselves, you know? It's just like an interesting idea. Yeah, I love that story because just imagine like the crazy adventure or whatever.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be like
Oh yeah.
a love novel or even crazy.
Yeah, you can do whatever. Oh yeah, also an interesting thing about the book. The book, after the researcher killed himself, water started flowing out of the book, and when you opened the book, all the pages, every single page just said "I'm sorry" over and over and over.
Aww, that's so sad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. But that's one of my favorite SCP stories. another one that I really like is that I see this one right here. So, SCP 354, which is known as the Red Pool.
The Red Pole.
Yeah.
Huh.
So up in northern Canada, they found a pool of red fluid, and it doesn't. There's no like defined spot where it stops being the pool. It just there kind of just ends up being more dirt than water for this red liquid. And what this red pool is, it's a portal to another dimension or multiple other dimensions.
Okay.
And monsters come through it. Like random hell beasts, random people, just random things come through it. And the SCP program more or less has to kill them or capture them as they come out and detain them. Well, there's an audio log that is for the SCPs, and it tells about the story of when the SCP program decided to send people into the pool via submarine just to see what they can find.
Via submarine, that's pretty smart.
Yep. So it goes in, it's like a journal log basically, and the guy says once they got to a certain depth, gravity reversed and they all hit the ceiling.
Huh.
And then the thing rolled back over, and then they were back on the floor, blah blah blah, and then they kept going up as opposed to down. And they kept going, and they surfaced, and it was nothing but grassland all around them. And in the distance, they could hear like awful like roars and horrible noises and stuff, but they wasn't around them, so they set up camp. A couple of them went off to research and never came back. Then a couple more of them went off, and then they did come back, and then they all decide they're to go on an expedition, and they have what's known as D-class personnel with them. What D-class are, it's death row inmates or people that know too much about something and can't be released or whatever, so they send them to the SCP program where they are living test dummies.
Huh.
Yeah. And so some of these D-class personnel, as well as scientists and like special agents and stuff, decide to leave their submarine behind and go on their own expedition. One, to find people that died, but also because that's their whole point. They're sent there. And as they're going through, everything's weird. It's just like a mowed grassland and stuff. And then they one of them trips and falls, and they found out that the grass is actually as sharp as razor blades. And they're all like sliced to shit because they fell, and like their feet were fine and all that stuff. And they had no idea that anything was going on before this, because it just they were wearing shoes and everything. Right. When they fell, their hands were all sliced up, their faces were all sliced up, and craziness, Right. Also, we're in a 7-7 game. Do you have a 6-3 on your bar?
I have. Oh, the 1944 is a 6-3.
Yeah.
That's right. You were telling me how it was up here just because of the stupid gun. I am so sorry. I was wondering why I saw that that one Vietnam era helicopter. Jeez. Plane. Plane goes boom. Lots of arsenal stuff with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of words, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, someone does.
Yeah.
Lord knows I don't.
But anyway, so the group keeps going. They tend to the wounds. They end up going through just like these random like head frozen areas, and then they try to camp out and they hear crazy noises, blah blah blah. There's monsters that end up like attacking them or chasing them or whatever, and it's a big thing. They end up running back, and they not all of them, but most of them manage to get back to their submarine, and they decide to go back. and then the audio log or text log or whatever it is ends, and then at the end of it there's an addendum or whatever that says there is no record of any expedition or anything like that. They just got this from the portal. They got the text from the portal. It came out of the portal. This log. So it was from another dimension that had an SCP group that went in to their dimension's portal, and then end up coming out in, I guess you'd say, our portal for the SCPs. Yeah.
That's the plot twist.
Yeah. There's a bunch of cool ones. There's a... Oh, this is a messed up one, but it's interesting. There's SCP-1459, which is known as the Puppy Machine.
The what?
It's known as the Puppy Machine.
The Puppy Machine.
Yeah. So, it looks like a claw machine, but there's a singular puppy sitting in the claw machine. And so if you have to tell the machine to do something to the dog, it can be good or bad, but it cannot be something that somebody else has said before. If it's something that somebody else has said before, the puppy is brutally murdered, and then a new puppy appears in its place, and you don't win a prize. If you say something that hasn't been said before to do to the puppy, then you win a piece of candy.
Oh,
and the puppy may live for... Yeah. So, this, so, obviously they use up all the good things that you can possibly do to a puppy, you know, pretty quickly. Like, rub the puppy's belly, pet the puppy, you know, give the puppy a treat, give the puppy a friend, blah blah blah, stuff like that. So they end up, and this is a dark organization, they end up researching the bad things that can do with puppies. So somebody says, give the puppies some friends. So the machine floods the containment box full of puppies to the point where they all die.
Oh.
Yeah, then there's one where like various ways of killing puppies, like very, very, very many ways, and they go into brutal detail, and the machine brutally murders puppies however way it's said. Or like, yeah, it goes on and on and on, crazy stuff.
Not the puppies.
Yeah, but if you do it in a way that nobody has said before, it gives you a piece of candy. Yeah.
So
basically.
does it take an... It probably didn't write this, but does it take an... Oh, he sees me. You don't see me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spawn camp you. Forgive me.
Forgive me.
Use the bush. Use the bush. Use the bush as details. Use... Oh wait, that thing has like an 80-year reload. What am I worried about?
Yeah.
Look out, my
there's,
gunner.
There's one that I know that you would like because it's a Warhammer 40k one.
Ooh.
But I cannot remember for the life of me how it goes. But if you'd like to look at it later, I can send you a video to it. It's called SCP-3973, and it's titled "Would You Like to Reroll?" Anyway, it's about a magical set of Warhammer 40k figures.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
I can see this getting bad real quick.
But I remember it, but I don't remember it enough to be able to tell you anything about it, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that does make sense.
All right.
Also, I'm fighting a the Doom Turtle, and I do not. Yeah. And he won the fight. Way to go, bud. He deserved it.
I was gonna say either try lower plate or go for the Commander's Colas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh
I'm gonna
shit!
grab some water real quick. while I drive and fly.
What is? Oh, I shot the. Oh, there. That works. I shot the wrong track. And the bombs are on me and I'm gonna die. Thank you, 84. Thank you.
Wipe my hands off. Filled up my bottle. Sprayed a bunch of water all over me.
Okay.
Uh-oh. I wonder if this guy sees me.
Alright, so do you want to know about another one that's like really messed up?
I have no wings, no arms, no nothing, but yes.
Okay, so you remember a minute ago I was explaining what D-class personnel were?
Yes.
Like people that either know too much or like death row inmates or whatever that
I
they
feel
use
bad
as
for the
human
ones that
guinea
know
pigs.
too much.
Right. Well, you're gonna feel even more bad for these ones. So.
Oh, hang on. I just unplugged my headset and I'm currently deafened. Let me just, like that right back.
Okay.
Okay, now I can hear.
Alright. So you're gonna feel really bad for these D-class personnel. This is SCP-1680. In SCP-1680... Alright, so I'm gonna start. A random kid was found at, like, that got off a bus, basically.
Yeah.
The bus stopped outside, from what my knowledge, it stopped outside of a SCP facility. And a random kid got out. And the SCP people, it's a secret organization, they attempted to find the kid's parents and couldn't. And nobody had any record of this kid, but they tried to send him back and they thought they did.
Okay, so he got off a bus, you said, right?
Yep. It's named Tyler. Yep,
Got
school
it.
bus.
Let me take off this IS-2 1990, whatever, real quick. Get us back to where we are, but continue.
So, anyway, next day, same thing happened. And the next day, so at this point, they were like, okay, they detained the kid. But it happened again the next day, and the kid was there. Every single day, the school bus drops off a clone, essentially, or an interdimensional kid that's the same kid at the
Huh.
same spot.
Huh.
Anyway, so they kept trying to contain them, and they just kept piling up. And like, there's thousands of these kids, and they get more and more every single day. And the SCP organization doesn't know what to do with these kids. So, you know what they decide to do with them?
Uh-oh.
They turn them into D-class personnel.
All of them?
Yes.
I mean, I guess you could raise them.
No. They're using them as an unending resource of D-class personnel to just throw at experiments.
Oh.
And D-class personnel are, like, sometimes they get, like, killed,
Yeah.
eaten, ripped to shit,
Hey, put this
psychologically
ring on,
scarred.
gets cancer, die.
Oh, basically, yeah.
I'm thinking more like an army, but yes, no, that's
Yeah. They don't use them as that, they use them as D-class personnel.
that's depressing.
Yeah. So, yeah. SCP can be really, really dark, especially the organization.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, here's one that's kind of interesting. SCP-953. So, you know what a nine-tailed fox is, right?
Yep.
So, if I'm fully correct, or if I'm partially correct, most nine-tailed foxes in, like, or not most, but like a lot of nine-tailed foxes in mythology, like Asian mythology, have a human form and then fox form and then everything in between. Because they're polymorphic, so they can shapeshift.
Right.
Well, this SCP, I believe, is based on the Korean version of the nine-tailed fox. I think it's the Korean one. I don't think it's the Japanese or Chinese one.
Okay.
And this one is a predator, basically. It eats people, kills and eats people. Yeah.
Whoa, Shaggy.
So this SCP likes to go to furry conventions, and as in its fox person form, and that's how it finds its next meal. It literally goes to furry conventions as
clever though.
As its anthropomorphic form, and everybody thinks, "Oh wow, that's a really, really realistic fursuit." And
yes, it's very realistic. We like to come over and take a close look. Nom nom.
That's how it works. That's literally how it works.
Oh jeez.
But the thing is, it only eats the liver and it removes it while they're alive. And it's a hypnotic SCP, so it basically keeps people in like a trance where they don't see the world how it is at all, or realistically. They see like a wonderful, magical world.
While they just eat this person's liver.
Yeah, while they're being eaten alive.
Oh, but only the liver?
Well, it's the SCP's favorite thing. Yeah, okay. Basically.
Does it sometimes eat like the flesh too, or?
Oh yeah, it will. But that's like the first thing it eats is like the organs, basically, while the person's alive. But like, it's a hypnosis state that it puts on them. So like, the person would think, oh, I don't know why this lady is kissing my stomach, but I like it. Blah blah blah. While it's like eating out their guts, essentially. Oh. Yeah. That's how this SCP is. And there's a story at the very end of the SCP, which is meant to be like how the SCP finally was caught. And it's really freaking graphic because the assault team gets hypnotized by it and thinks that they're like befriended it and were living with it for a while, and it was feeding them food and stuff. But what it was actually doing was, it was feeding them to keep them fat, but it was keeping them as basically cattle, and feeding it bits of dead corpses of other people. And then one of them finally broke the spell and managed to break the spell and like capture it.
Good on them. Holy
yeah, but it's like really crazy. Like, a lot of these SCP stories are really, really crazy, but they're really creative and like them. It's because how creative they are. But yeah, that was SCP-953. Have you heard of Shy Guy?
I've heard it. Something like if you look at him, he kills you or something like that.
If you look at his face, he starts crying and will travel to the ends of the earth and through every obstacle possible to kill you.
To kill you?
Yeah.
He really doesn't. He's very shy.
So, one of the funny things about it was they put a group of D-class in a submarine and put them on the bottom of the Marianas Trench, which is the deepest part of the ocean.
Oh, and see if he can make it to you?
Basically, they had them go through pictures. The first few were like artist representations of this SCP, and then the last was an actual photograph of its face. The fucking thing got to the bottom of the ocean and destroyed the little submarine thing. Like, there's like crazy stories of containment because it will just like bash through anything basically if somebody sees its face. In that one, Shy Guy is SCP-96. a another one which is odd. This one for some reason reminds me of. Do you remember that Beat Canyon video I showed you, which was titled Kitty, but it was about the Monsters Inc. characters?
Yep.
This one reminds me of that, even though it's not creepy like that.
Oh, don't look at it. So even if it looks at the picture, it will come and find you?
Yeah, you just have to see any form of its actual face. But artist representations are fine. It's fine with you looking at artist representations, but if it's a picture or its actual face,
Now,
it'll start crying and kill somebody.
Does it like... I think a shell just flew past me as I spawned in my plane. Anyways, does it teleport? Kind of like, or does it just slowly make its way to you?
It will make its way to you, even if you're in constant motion, and it can run extremely fast.
Interesting. Man, I should start adding some SCPs in my D&D games.
Oh yeah, they're cool. There's like a werewolf one that has like oh, what do you call it? A skull, like an exposed skull. Like there's no patch on its skull, which is I don't really know the story of it, but it's like really cool looking. Oh, I found the storybook SCP. It's called SCP 1230. A Hero is Born.
A Hero is Born.
Yeah. All right. Oh, here's a creepy one. This is a really creepy one. This is SCP 3300. The Rain.
The what?
The Rain.
The Rain.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, these people, they end up like traveling along, and they make it to a town, and it's actually I forget if they traveled to the town or if the rain just started and then I think they moved to the town and then they were living there for a while, and it started to rain one day, like really rain, and weird things started happening. Like all of a sudden there was like groups of people walking out in the rain, but they weren't made of people, you know, they weren't flesh and bone people. They were made of water, but they were wearing people's clothing. Essentially, there's a curse on the town or whatever, where every so many years it starts raining, and like an evil special rain, and it turns everybody there into these rain creatures that end up like the people end up kind of like melting, like that are there, the one people end up like melting, and then are replaced by like rain people. And at the end of the storm, the rain people solidify into a new batch of people that have all just moved into the town.
With different memories or same memory?
They have the memory of moving into the town, basically.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no 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 no.
Yeah.
Oh no no. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh god. That's SCPs. Someone should make a movie about just.
Oh, there are SCP movies. They're short films.
Oh, that's right. That would be perfect.
Yeah. So how SCP works? It's all copyright free, basically.
Right.
And any work on SCP stuff. That's a tank. Ooh, that's a tank.
I like that. They should. Someone should make like an animated series.
Dude, I just bounced off a friggin'. Dude, that wasn't even where I shot. Oh, that's disgusting. That is so disgusting. I shot a Jagdpanzer 4, that thing. Mm-hmm. I shot him on the side of the hull, and I watched it. I shot right on the side of the upper part of the hull of the casemate, and I watched it hit there. But for some reason, on the cam, my shell hit his bottom track.
Yeah.
I hate that. Whatever. Anyway, he managed to kill me.
Oh, but, he still got you?
Yeah.
Where was he exactly?
He's on C behind the gas station. Yep.
Think I can go through him with 63?
Yeah, you might be able to.
Oh, what's that? It's your infamous friend.
Yeah. Oh,
You
trying to
ready?
think of other ones.
This
Sure.
is for you. This bush is broken, dude.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, you
Little
watch that?
bastard.
It is broken.
Yeah, I watched it. Thank you. But it actually bugs me that the game messed up, and that's how he killed me, basically.
Yeah, no, that's a bump.
Because he didn't see me, he was flying onto me, and I literally stopped, aimed a perfect shot, and I was point blank range from him, and I shot, and the game had me registered as hitting his bottom track, which
Oh.
I don't understand, but whatever.
What tank were you in when you were
G3045.
3045? Oh my god, deja vu. No, don't shoot me, shoot him. Jumbo, kill that wank. Thank you.
Yeah.
I should have moved.
Oh yeah, there's this one's fairly like basic. This one is SCP 563. It's titled An Abandoned Farm in China.
An abandoned farm from China?
Abandoned Farm in China.
In China. Okay.
It's basically a meat farm that is automated, even though it's abandoned, and nobody knows where it came from, and it factory farms dinosaurs.
It factory farms dinosaurs.
Basically, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So it's a miniature Jurassic Park.
kind of, but it's a meat farm.
Oh, it's a meat farm.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
Those poor dinosaurs.
yeah. Oh,
I wonder what dinosaur would taste like actually now.
chicken. You eat dinosaur every day. Chicken.
I do, don't I? It's a bird.
Yep, birds are dinosaurs.
Woo!
So if you ever want to know what a velociraptor tastes like, just imagine it probably tastes like chicken or turkey.
Man, I'll be eating a lot of dinosaur.
Yep.
Alright, I got shot from over here.
Oh, I like this SCP. This one is SCP-662. The Butler's Handbell. So you know those little teacher bells that has a handle on it, and you just kind of shake it, and it goes ding 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 ding, you know?
Yeah.
It's that, but it's meant to like call a butler. So you shake it, and a butler will appear out of nowhere and ask for your request. You give them the request, and they will come back for it, even how crazy the request is.
Huh.
So you could ask for like the severed hand of Leroy Jenkins or whatever,
Okay.
and he'll come back with severed hand, and Leroy Jenkins will no longer have his hand and say that the butler came and cut it off. But yeah,
So they can see the butler,
yes,
and does he teleport in, or he just walks off and you see him like 9 months later?
he'll walk out of your view and then he'll walk back in. But he teleported. But they ask him how he got it, and he says that he doesn't have any recollection. They ask him where he goes when he disappears, and he says he doesn't know. Just on and up, stuff like that. So he doesn't really know, but he is a butler. So yeah, but you can ask him for whatever request or whatever, and he will fulfill it to the best of his abilities.
$1 million, please.
Basically, but it's stuff
like a
that
bunch of Bitcoin.
it's stuff that realistically exists in the world and is able to be found somewhere.
So
So
is he? Can you give? What does he say to a quest that is impossible?
if you wanted like 1,000,000 tons of uranium, something crazy like that. Also, if you wanted all the gold in the in Fort
Universe.
Knox, something like that. Like realistically, like something that a butler physically couldn't do.
Huh.
Yeah. But like they did an experiment, and they asked the butler to to kill a D class that was in another room. And the D class was in a room, and there's a camera on it, and the butler just kind of appears out of the focal range of the camera, walks in, goes over to the D class, and then politely slits his throat.
Wow.
And how do you do this politely? Well, you have conversations. But then he comes back and whatever, and he doesn't really have any recollection of doing it, but he knows he did it because that was his job, and it was film. So he's basically like a Mr. Mises. Yeah.
Mr. Mises.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But for Rick and Morty.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
I'm in a very dangerous spot, and I see a semi-very dangerous thing, and I don't have the depression for it.
Oh, that's a tiger. Tiger face.
What's a reload on this thing? Oh, he's dead.
Oh,
dead.
There's another SCP, and this SCP is kind of interesting. I don't remember the title, like the number of it, but this SCP is Bigfoot. And so the story behind it is the Bigfoot and Yeti, Sasquatch, whatever in general.
Yeah.
They are the survivors of a ultra advanced civilization.
Whoa. Say that again?
In SCP, Sasquatch are the survivors of an ultra advanced civilization that once ruled Earth. They did not. Yeah. Now, their technology was all biological, so once it was destroyed, it rotted away. But they basically, humanity lived as basically monkeys to them. But one day, got smart and really, really jealous and figured out how to wipe them out. And there's an interview with one of these
Sasquatches?
Yeah, and it basically says that they're not mad at humanity because they don't even remember, because humanity doesn't even remember what they did, but just be forewarned that Sasquatches will take over the Earth again.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, they're so advanced. Does that mean humanity was once very advanced, but then kind of went extinct?
No. Humanity were monkeys basically to them, and humanity, through watching the Sasquatch develop basic ass tools, like fire and arrows and spears and shit.
Yeah, and we killed them with those?
And we ended up figuring out how to kill them off, because they weren't the type of civilization that made technology, as in they bioengineered things. They mastered the art of biological engineering.
I guess so.
Yeah. So I think in the story that they kind of said that they kind of biologically engineered people a little bit, not necessarily slaves, but kind of close to it.
Yeah.
To do work for them or whatever, and then people kind of took over. And people, because it was so many years that people just forgot, but the Sasquatches did.
Huh.
Yeah. I forget the name. Cool. Yeah, I like that story, but I forget the actual name of it.
Alright, there's a Stuart Mill over here that I really don't like.
And I just get killed just as soon as I left spawn.
You got killed by a spawn camper?
Yeah, I got killed by an SA-50. I don't think he wasn't really camping spawn. It just happened to be, you know how spawns work in War Thunder, how you can be anywhere on the map and accidentally like spawn camp somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Pull up. Pull up. Woo. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this.
Oh. This one is pretty cool. So there's an SCP called SCP-49, which is the Plague Doctor. And yeah,
Okay.
he is dressed as a medieval Plague Doctor and everything. But the thing is, he's not actually dressed as that. That is his actual physical form. Like that's his actual face, you know.
Huh.
And yeah. So the Plague Doctor has the knowledge of the medieval medicine, basically, and he'll find things wrong with people, which are what he calls humors, or like he'll drain your humors and all that stuff, which is like an old school medicine bullshit.
Yeah.
But he there's like a sickness that he finds, a pathogen or a blight or whatever, that he'll see in people, and he'll try to correct it through surgery. But all his surgeries actually do is kill people. And like, there's more to the story. It's kind of like ridiculous, like the bullshittery that this SCP will do.
Yeah.
And like he has like a god complex where he's thinking that he's saving the world, but really all he's doing is kind of just like hacking people up.
Hmm.
And like he'll get very agitated if he's not allowed to do it, so they give him like a D-class personnel once a year basically to hack up, so he doesn't go insane and start murdering people.
Right.
Yeah, weird ass story. There's more to it that I can't remember at the time, like just off the top of my head, but it's just really funny because it's like a weird SCP, you know.
Yeah.
There's another SCP, which isn't a person or a thing. It's a place, and it's a multi-dimensional strip club.
Huh.
Yeah, it's called SCP 1472. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the place is highly radioactive. Also, for whatever reason. Yeah.
Like the kind of radiation that kills you?
And causes hallucinations, I think. But yeah.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, so there's a random like backlot alleyway that has like a building there. And it's an abandoned building, and every like once a week on a certain day, some random person will walk out of it and set up an open sign that shows the day's program, or like out of like acts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the SCP program sent in some D-class personnel to do whatever, you know, and they gave them like $1,000 in $1 bills.
Huh. Just go to the strip club, guys. See what happens.
But it's an interdimensional strip club, so not all of the acts are exactly human.
Some Star Wars strip club up in here.
Well, one of the acts is velociraptors.
Okay. like stripping velociraptors? Or
Yeah,
they just eat people on stage and they're like feral and don't know what they're doing?
If you don't pay them, that's what they do. Otherwise they act like they do stripper things. That's one of the
Velociraptor strip, but they eat if you don't pay. Oh my god.
Oh,
That's good.
but yeah, there's like a bunch of other things in there, but that's the one that I just remember because how stupid it sounds.
That's very stupid, but also kind of funny.
But like there's a bunch of these and I think it like rotates, but yeah, there's like a bunch of different monster strippers, and if you don't pay, bad things happen to you. But also, once you leave, you're very radiated because the place is radioactive. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if I remember right, only one of the D class came out, and he was all scarred up because like I don't know, he didn't pay the Velociraptor enough money or some shit.
You never not pay the Velociraptor stripper, dude. Bad news for you.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of these. Like they're wicked cool. A lot of them are funny. You never know what some of these are going to be.
Yeah. The Panzer sniping, I think it's the F4. And I shot, and it was a good shot, but unfortunately I think I clipped the rock.
Oh yeah, there's one that's called the Carnivorous Blanket, and it's literally a blanket that will eat you if you try to like wrap up and snuggle in it.
Wrap and snuggle in it?
You know what I mean? Like you wrap yourself up in a blanket, you know?
Oh yeah.
But it's a carnivorous blanket, so you're dead. I'm gonna die here in like 2 seconds. Well, 1 second's actually better. It's a Yag Panther. His transmission's out, so he's dead in the water, but his gun's still up. He's the same corridor that I was in.
Oh, shite. There's a
Yep.
bad little panther looking at me. Try to go for my cola. That, my friend, was a grave mistake.
A grave mistake.
Time to go into assault form.
Assault form.
You know what that means, right?
I don't, but I'm listening.
Alright. I am now in assault form. The IS-2 assault form is driving backwards. I'm going in. Dun 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 dun. I hear Tonka Tonka is close. Oh, I did not just miss.
A Tonka Tonk, which is close, you say?
I'm pinned between a hard spot and a good spot.
Oh yeah. There's another SCP called the SCP-2966.
Yeah.
And it's infinite toilet paper. But something weird about it. It's constantly producing toilet paper onto its roll.
I could use one of those.
But you have to use it, otherwise it'll go into like a thermonuclear meltdown.
What?
Or thermodynamic meltdown. Yeah, because it's built too much toilet paper and it just has to like start eating it up as it makes it. And yeah, so you have to constantly like rip some off of it to try to keep it from going supernova, basically.
So, like, how big is this meltdown we're talking? Is it like destroy a small town, the whole world?
Everybody near it's dead from
Dead from radiation?
Basically, heat radiation, yeah.
Heat radiation? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with heat radiation. That just gets really hot.
Yeah, but
You
still
can feel
crazy.
heat radiation. But yeah, no, I could use one of those. Like, if it's like if it's like just a regular tissue toilet paper amount you have to use, I could just carry it around me constantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I forget the name of the SCP, but there's a SCP where it's a coffee machine, but it will really do, from what I understand, any drink flavor that you want. And it was deemed so safe as long as you don't order like anything poisonous that will kill you
Yeah.
or anybody else
They
around
just
you.
kept it in the lounge room.
They kept it in the break room.
Huh?
Anyway, it makes hot and cold drinks, and it's one of the, you know, those like old school coffee vending machines where it'll drop the cup down and then it will fill it.
Yeah.
It's one of those, but it will do any drink basically,
Oh, that's
any
pretty
liquid.
cool.
Yeah, it was deemed so safe that you could just put it in the break room. Like if I remember right, the thermoreactive TP, they end up putting in the most used bathroom just so it's constantly being used.
And someone just goes and checks on it.
Yeah, people
Rips,
have
rips the big one.
part of their job is having to use the bathroom at work
Lol.
to make sure the toilet paper's ripped off.
Oh, that's cool. The Stuka still makes Stuka noise even though it's dead.
Yeah, I think the only Stukas that make Stuka noises are the early Stukas. I don't think the later ones make Stuka noise. Also, do you know what the Stuka noise is actually called?
What's up?
It's called the Jericho horn.
Ah.
Like the city from the Bible.
That's pretty clever.
And also the name of a TV show of nuclear destruction, which I don't remember if it was any good because I really kind of barely watched it.
Over here dodging AA. Alright,
You know,
track.
you know how absolutely amazing the Fyong Kong would be if its HVAC round was ever shot?
Oh god.
Gaijin.
I think it's like every other shot, right?
It's every 3.
Every 3? Oh.
Yep. 1, 2.
That makes
First
so much
shot.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, first shot is HVAC, then the 2 following are explosive. But you gotta remember how the Fyong Kong works. It's double barreled. So the mag or the clip arrangement is the same on both guns. And they fire offset. Basically, so they fire together, I think the first shot, and then offset after that. And so that makes it so it's really more like 4 high explosive rounds in between. And then 1, 2, and then, yeah.
I wonder if I get some experience off this guy by just shooting him a lot. Yeah. Alright, that little Googlets is one very, very angry Googlets. I think I killed him, that's why he's so angry.
KB-85 is dragging a little BT-7 around, or BT-5, a dead one. Redport. Redport.
Keep like a low profile. I don't want this bird to know what I'm trying to be up to. Yes, he doesn't know what I'm up to. Oh, it's a stupid.
Now I know that I've told you about the endless IKEA.
Yes. You mentioned it.
But I feel like I should probably re-say it for the stream, basically, even though I don't think anybody's actually watching. But might as well re-say it. So, I forget the name of the SCP, like the number, but there's an SCP that's an IKEA, that's an endless IKEA. Once you enter, and turn around, you can't find the entrance or exit. So you're trapped in it. And it literally goes on endlessly. And people have made little civilizations in there. And yeah, the store itself is relatively safe while store hours are open. The employees, which are really like faceless monsters from what I'm aware, they are passive. during the day, like during store open hours. But just as soon as the store closes and lights go out, they turn into vicious freaking monster zombie things that are like want blood, basically. Anyway, so people have to fight those off. And
what do they look like? Did they give any kind of description?
they're wearing the IKEA uniform, but they're like faceless and they kind of look like gorillas from what I'm remembering. They're like goblins, kind of. But yeah. So they have to fight them off at night. In the day, they basically are passive and don't bother you, and they actually restock the shelves and restock the restaurant areas, which where you get your food. Anyway,
imagine making a SCP game that's multiplayer and DLCs are big ones like that.
I don't know how you do the endless IKEA unless it was procedurally generated.
Similar to like Minecraft, I guess, you know?
Yeah, it'd have to be like a Minecraft type deal.
Or at least one part of it is like fixed, but yeah, continue.
Yeah. So there are SCP games.
Yes.
I don't know the multiplayer ones, but that might be something interesting. Like there's SCP Containment Breach, I know. Realistic, like you could stream it and we could kind of like co-commentate over it or something.
Oh.
If you wanted, like because obviously I can either watch directly through Twitch or we could do it through Discord or whatever, so there's no latency. But yeah, it's a horror game, but they're pretty cool. I think I like the SCP.
A lot of the SCPs are very did I just crit the Panther?
There's also a game called SCP Breakout.
SCP what?
SCP Breakout.
Breakout.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, there's another SCP called SCP-163, and it's an old alien castaway. Like he's lived on Earth for like a long time, but it's because he was basically stranded on Earth because his spaceship crashed on Earth.
Huh.
But he's in his spare time, he likes to, from what I can tell or what I remember, likes to get stoned and write screenplays. He really likes talking about cliches, like in stories, but it's like it's funny. Like there's one of his screenplays is basically about his life, but when he's like trying to explain, he's like, I know it's cliche, but stay with me, right, okay. It just on and on like that, and that's how it's written out, because it's written like all quote written.
Yeah.
Like he's saying that, it's just.
Okay, I know that one's cliche, but hear me out on this act.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, there's another one called the Buried Giant, which is SCP-1193.
Buried Giant.
Yeah. So, they found a random pipe with an arm sticking out of it, and they thought it was like a severed arm, so they tried pulling it out, and they kind of heard a groan, and they couldn't.
Oh.
And yeah, and they couldn't get it out. So they ended up like looking, and it's like this pipe's way too long to be connected to anybody. So they put like a pipe snake in there, and it was too short, so they made like a super long one and kept going. It goes for miles, this long ass arm, and then it finally gets like deep under the earth and opens up into like a cavern or a chasm or whatever. And there's a giant there with a friggin' arm that stretched way out through a freaking pipe.
What?
That's the extent of the SCP, essentially.
Is he like proportional, or his arm's been like
arm isn't.
reared? His arm's the only thing that is
his
also
ar-
really
his,
stretched out.
his arm is normal size human proportion, but extremely long.
Oh
With
my god.
men, yeah,
That's kind of
and then
funny.
yeah, that's literally the SCP, at least from what I remember of the SCP.
Huh.
Um, there's one that's called Peanut, which I believe is SCP-173, but I can't remember for the life of me what it actually is. I think if you look at, I think if I remember correctly, if you're looking at it, it's staying in one place, but if you turn around and look away from it, it'll be all of a sudden be right behind you. And I don't remember if it's like violent or if it just does that.
Huh.
I don't know if it can kill you. Um, I don't remember.
Ooh, defend. This is a defending mission this time.
Okay.
I am aware of it now. I shall play me cards differently. Enjoy. I'm actually bringing a little bit extra ammo. I head to the
Okay.
top.
There's also an SCP called SCP-2845, and he's known as the Deer. It's literally an elk with a man's face,
Oh,
but this elk with man's face, is in the SCP world an old god. So it's a god, but it's an old god. So it's like a ancient god. And if I remember correctly, basically you have to sacrifice some children.
what?
Yeah.
That was a bit weird.
Yep.
Oh, so does he do anything?
If you get him mad, he'll destroy the world.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
How'd they find that out?
He started destroying shit when he got mad.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh.
I guess they just sacrifice all the clone children, huh?
It doesn't say specifically, but you think, right?
Right.
You think.
That are virgins, one or the other.
Yeah. Also, something to keep in mind with SCP. There's different websites for the SCP, but they're all like together, you know, because
Right.
it's still SCP. The different websites,
Continuity.
yeah, the different websites actually call themselves site blah 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 or site blah blah blah, you know.
Oh, it's staying
So-
in character even on the website?
Yes. So they're meant to be like facilities, and like they'll be contained at certain facilities.
That's
Yeah.
clever. So you
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily submit, unless it's one that is duplicate in the continuity of the universe, you wouldn't necessarily submit one of the multiple different sites.
You wouldn't really have to, no, but I suppose you probably could. I don't really know what the vetting process is for the SCP sites, but yeah. This one is one of my favorites, SCP-509.
509.
He is a reluctant dimension hopper.
A reluctant dimension hopper.
Yes. So, he can jump from dimension to dimension, but he has no control of when he does it or how long it is for.
So wait, he can't control how long he stays there?
He can't control how long he stays there. He can't control when he goes there. He cannot control anything. He actually went to the SCP program. He found out about it in one of his interdimensional jumps, and from what I'm aware, and found it in his home universe, which is, let's just say it's our universe, even though it's not. But you know,
Right.
and actually sought out the SCP for protection to try to get himself cured. The SCP doesn't cure things; they contain things and study them, even if it's like detrimental. So they keep him. They almost use him as a D class, kind of, just to find out about different dimensions. Anyway,
Uh-oh.
Our victory is near.
Got a bunch of tanks ahead of us. And I hear
Yeah,
a tank on left or right.
Yep. Jumbo.
Now all of China knows we're here. Let's
But
see.
but anyway, one of the so he gets sent to also that guy in the game chat says playing War Thunder while listening to Irish Rebel songs is different. I do that. I do that. I like Black and Tans is really good, and Foggy Dew is really good when you're playing War Thunder.
Foggy Dew.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of tanks, including there's a Panzer IV F2 and a Whirlwind and a Tiger.
I got a Tiger.
I'm going after the F2.
Alright. The Tiger is kind of low gassed up.
Oh, I didn't pen on the F2.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Let's just pretend those bombs killed me. Even though you didn't.
Alright, Whirlwind is out of action.
Yeah. I want to continue to talk about the SCP, but I can't.
That's concentration time.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful, Tiger's back up.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna take out this guy. There. Alright, so the SCP, the Reluctant Dimensional Hopper, he'll jump from dimension to dimension, and then when he comes back to the SCP, he will give a report on his thing. So he's basically an agent, but basically a D-class and an SCP all put together, which makes it really cool. So because he can end up being like set out for months, like he can end up being in a dimension for months at a time, weeks at a time, and a lot of times in hospital situations. They basically given him like a full like uniform and equipment and all that stuff for their SCP survival equipment.
That's nice.
And
I feel like
because
this organization has mixed feelings on what they want to be.
yeah, and each site is different. Like some sites are violent, some sites are assholes, some sites are good people. Anyway, so I'm gonna try to get that Rumbar. I don't know if his spawn protection is still up.
I'm gonna draw his attention.
I'm gonna say it's probably not. Yeah, I got it.
Good stuff. I feel so bad.
Yeah, we're spawn camping, but
We're doing a great job at it, though.
to be fair, we are losing B.
Oh, what? Oh.
Yeah, we're.
I think we got B. We have 3 medium tanks going good. I hope to God that we are good.
Yeah, but anyway, so a Tiger just spawned, by the way.
I'll draw his attention.
He already knows that we're here, so anyway, so the guy teleported into another dimension in a bunch of different dimensions. One of the dimensions that he teleported into was a dimension that also had an SCP unit or SCP organization, but in this place, the SCP or all the people in this dimension they don't really say if they're like vampires or cannibals or or werewolves or what the hell they are, but they describe them as looking like people but having like red eyes and fangs. That's just how they describe it. And all they eat is meat. And they gave him, he was telling them his story, and they were really like fascinated by it and blah blah blah, and treated him pretty good. And all the food they gave him was meat based, and he said how good it was, and they seemed overjoyed about it. That's what that whole dimension was. His experience of that dimension. So it's like they were really confused by it.
Oh, he just got bombed in his own spawn. I'm gonna invade their spawn now. I am that bored.
Yeah. I mean, we could push A like we should be doing.
Actually, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Don't leave me too far behind because I am a little bit behind you, but keep good distance so we don't both get knocked out.
Roger. I think they're gonna stop spawning here. That's why I'm hoping.
I hope so.
I'll stop at this tree line over here. Get a good little chance to shoot this bomber. It looks like. Maybe I could draw his attention.
Right.
Can't get his attention.
But anyway, another dimension that he went into. He was in a dark room, and there was a voice talking to him, and it was like a really creepy voice, and he like shined his flashlight over, and there was a really creepy man that he referred to as the Violent Man.
As the Violent Man?
The Smiling Man.
Oh, the Smiling Man.
In the story, it's like major freaking rape vibes. Oh, tank spotted in front of me. It's a Sherman. I think it's a jumbo.
Did you see it? It was a jumbo.
He did. Dude, I shot him through the upper front plate, and I don't know how that panned.
That's... Ooh, something just shut his wing by me. That's because jumbos do now suck, unfortunately.
Did they drop the armor on the jumbo?
I don't know for sure. All I know is jumbo bad.
I know they messed with the BR and kind of ruined them. But anyway, so anyway, he shined a flashlight on the guy, and imagine, like, you know, like the term grinning ear to ear.
Yeah.
That, but for real, like actually, you know what I mean? Like his mouth extends from ear to ear, literally, and it's nothing but like big horse teeth all the way across.
Disturbing.
Yeah, and he has that permanent smile. It's really freaking creepy. And anyway, it freaked him out, and he like ran, and like the guy was chasing after him and feeling him all over, and then he like in his spear he ended up like teleporting away from him, and he was like super shaken up by it, and like the SCP organization, he asked for a gun to defend himself, and the SCP organization was like, you know what, that is pretty fucked. So they gave him, I forget if it was a gun or like a taser or whatever. I think they did actually give him a gun, because after quite a while of teleporting, he teleports right back to that same SCP person, or the same Smiling Man person. And I'll help you repair, but there's a thing.
There's a lot of things.
Yep. Dude, I should have went for the whole shot to immobilize that guy.
Oh god. Oh, now there's a head, sir.
Yeah, I'm repairing. And I'm reloading. Oh, there's a duster.
Oh my god, don't take out my gun. Don't take out my gun. Oh, I shot. No. Now up for like 5. Oh, you're repairing now.
Yep. Alright, I'm done repairing. Oh. Yeah, I've been repairing, but...
This is insane.
Yeah, my gun is reloading.
So they did give him a gun though, right?
Yeah. Anyway, he ends up spawning, or teleporting back to the same dimension. And guess who says welcome back, or whatever to him?
Oh no.
Yeah.
By the way, my tank is glitched.
I just got killed.
Wait, you killed from behind?
Yes, from behind. It's an SA-50. Anyway, it's that smiling guy again, and the guy like screams and then like shoots him repeatedly in the chest. Alright, I'm respawning. I'm gonna try to get to speaking post haste.
Took out their cannon barrel. There's so many. How do you expect to take A without having to spawn camp them and stop them from coming straight to their point that's between their two spawns? Same thing for us, too. This is stupid map design right there.
It is, but
there's so many.
It's a thing, you know.
Did he die, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Got to kill the whole team.
Yeah. But yeah, so they end up giving the guy a gun, and he teleports to that same place again, accidentally, and the guy's like gonna get all touchy-feely with him again, and he shoots him repeatedly in the chest. I don't remember if it kills him or not, but he shot him repeatedly in the chest.
So he can go to dimension. Well, I mean, accidentally, but multiple times.
Yes, but he can't pick the dimension he goes to or anything like that. Like, I feel like there was a dimension that he woke up on a beach and there's nothing but like a bunch of happy dogs, and he played with puppies for a while, and then teleported out. So it's not all bad, but there's a lot of messed up things. I really like the SCP because I like the idea of like just going to a different dimension and like jumping back and forth, just seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'd be very fun getting yourself into really shitty situations because you can't control when you teleport.
Right. Yeah, no, that seems like a nightmare and a half.
Yeah.
No, don't move, Tiger. I just want to drop bombs on you. Whee! Blump. I keep getting, like, dropping these bombs on these, what do you call them?
Tigers?
Yeah, tigers. Tanks and whatnot. And I feel like it wants to pen, so, like, if I drop one on a dump truck, I wonder if that could pen him.
Maybe.
No, drop the bomb. I should
Drop the bomb on him.
I should have gone for a bomb drop on him.
Bomb on him.
Attention to the map!
Whew. I really annoyed the crap out of those guys. I think
Yep.
we did a pretty good job. All things
I
considered.
hope so, but it's we only have one person on A, and I'm approaching it. And
There's so many things. They
they
just keep coming.
upgraded. Yeah, well, we're in between their spawns. Of course, they're going to keep coming, and they're going to come from both sides.
Yeah, no, that's.
But
okay.
but there's a upgraded a German captured and then upgraded KB1 somewhere around here.
Oh. I want to write a SCP story about a tank, a Russian tank.
Dude, go for it.
That would be funny.
Use your knowledge as a DM to make it stories to try to make something.
Yeah, boy.
But you gotta remember that you actually have to write them in a certain format. Has to look and sound like a government document, basically. Your story can be wild, and there can be quotes of things, but it has to be done in a specific format in a specific way.
Right.
Yep.
Oh my god, that Sterling has so many bombs.
Uh-oh. That didn't pen.
What was Shaggy?
Yeah.
You know what would have been better? They should have just did TDM instead of this game mode.
Yep. This game mode is basically TDM. You just capture the point to force it in. Yeah. Oh, I had the alien, the cliche alien wrong. It was actually SCP 2020.
SCP 2020?
Yep.
Cliche.
Yeah. Cliche. Right. Please don't drop the bomb on. Drop the bomb on. I see you shooting at something. What are you shooting at?
An AA.
Oh! This one I think you might think is cool. So, have you ever looked at like a motherboard and kind of like, that thing kind of looks like a city?
Yeah.
Well, whoever wrote this SCP thought the exact same thing. So, there's an SCP called SCP-2978. Motherberg?
Motherberg.
Yeah. So, what it is a bunch of motherboards that SCP program keeps adding on to. Also, they keep like growing and setting down other circuit boards and shit. And it's a city of little energy people. They look like humans, but they're made of like electricity, like pure energy and shit. And it's an actual city. They have vehicles and they live their lives like normal, like little parts of the motherboard and stuff is like buildings to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically what it is. And we just kind of observe them,
That's
and
kinda
like
cool.
they'll like add on. So like, oh, there's a new motherboard out, or let's just set it on there, see what they do with it, or like, or it's like, oh, the computer in the so and so room died. Yeah, might as well put it into motherboard or whatever. Just keep building it. Weird stuff like that, but I think it's cool.
That's cute. Aha! Got his cannon barrel.
Oh yeah, yeah, this is proper. There's an SCP called SCP-2852.
Yeah.
This SCP is a mind-altering SCP named Cousin Johnny. Nobody had a Cousin Johnny, but this SCP inserts themselves into people's lives and alters their brain so they had a cousin named Johnny.
Yeah.
And just like, from
It's
what
also
I'm
a
where
tank
he
over
like,
there, by the way, just FYI.
where?
Oh, it's on the map.
So marked at their spawn, right?
A little bit outside the spawn. Got more around it. This cannon barrel was out. He's still trying to figure out how to kill me.
I'm having a hard time seeing him through these trees.
I was almost reloaded.
Is this him right here? Yep, it is. I didn't pen the front of that Panzer IV. I shot right on the front of his turret and it didn't pen, so I'm a little bit concerned with humanity. Alright, his transmission, driver, and machine gunner are out.
My everything's out. I've taken at least like 6 shots from him.
Gun barrel's out.
Yay! I should
Machine
have.
gun's out.
This thing's so much better with just AP. That hip round is not reliable.
He's dead.
Yeah, boy.
I would repair. I can repair you.
Don't worry about me. I'll be alright.
Okay, I'm pushing in.
Charge.
T-34 is together strong.
Woo! There's another one over here. Oh, hit him. Aha. Oh, it's that little. It's your favorite friend.
Oh, my machine gun's hit. Alright, driver and transmission are out.
Taking
As
out
in his driver.
tire.
Yeah, he bounced on me.
Oh, I'm already on him.
I'm flanking him because he can't drive to bother me.
Please die by Artie. Ah.
I killed him.
Thank you.
Oh. I thought I saved you, but I didn't.
You're a split second.
Actually, I killed him. I killed him technically before he killed you. Technically.
You're right. You technically did. Bullet travel. Magical thing.
Yep.
Woo!
Uh-oh. A Panzer IV killed my friend.
This will be my last game for today, yeah boy.
Okay.
I appreciate the SCP stories. Those were I quite enjoyed them a lot.
I'll actually send you,
Yeah, some of those sites.
I'll send you the YouTube channel.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. Just go through there. Like, I like to watch, like, listen to them at night while I'm trying to go to bed because it's like bedtime stories.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, scary bedtime stories or anything like that, if you can consider these scary, don't really bother me, so I like to watch them.
Trying to spook a Sherman. I got nothing else better to do. I'm so bored. This game was very interesting in the sense that, like, I killed a lot of guys, but it was very boring.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we have killed quite a few.
The squid.
I have 7 kills, 2 assists, and 3 deaths. You have 6 kills, 5 assists, and 3 deaths.
Hashtag COB.
Cobb.
Do we remember what COB stand for? Is like Combat Operations Battalion.
Yeah, that's exactly what it stands for. And the O is a 0 because COB was already taken, so we did C0B.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my god, these guys! I applaud these people. 7 deaths. Man, he really is hanging on for everything.
He has 8 kills, so I suppose.
And they're all just like AAs and like super reserve.
But 7 deaths? Dude, you think at some point you just give up and take the
right? Right? But like in reality, they've held the line, you know what I mean? Right. And we have to cross an open field, come straight to them, and they just have to wait in their spawn pretty much, you know?
Yeah, they're fully defending. Oh wait, we won.
Time ended. Thank Jesus. The time ended?
Yeah, we ran out of time. That was a 45-minute game.
45 minutes for one game? No.
Wait, is it 45-minute time, or is it like 30 minutes or 20 minutes or something?
It's more than 20. I think it might be 35 or 20.
Minutes.
Oh, 25.
Huh. Yep.
I thought it was more than 30.
I was thinking air battle time, I guess.
Oh, air battles. Holy, what's your battle activity?
95.
Mine's 98. Man, we need like billions of dollars from that. Like, there should be a special reward. Like running out the clock or something. That should be a reward. That's worth like 100,000. 100,000. Because it gives on both parties, not just the one that wins, like both parties. Because it lends itself to, like, if you play good enough, you can run out the clock.
Right.
You know what I mean? And kind of just keep fighting and throw your tanks away. Because you're essentially throwing them away at that point, either being spawn camped or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm 30,000 away from getting the M36 Jackson for China, which I'm not going to use. Because the Hellcat's fine. What I'm thinking about doing is, once I get all the vehicles at rank 4 researched and bought, I think I'm going to set up a line of the Type 63, Type 62, IS-2 Mod 1944, and the SU-100. And I'm just going to set a lineup like that. I'm probably going to keep the Pyong Kong on my bar. And because that's going to be like that's a 6-3, 6-7 lineup. Yep. And I'm going to use those to research rank 5. Probably research rank 5 all the way out, possibly.
Yep.
Or at the very least, the 2 T-54s and the WZ-305. Because I'll have the most efficiency using the rank 4 vehicles, because as my lineup consists right now, I only have one rank 4 vehicle in my bar, and that's the IS-2, the first IS-2.
Huh.
So, and plus, as I spade these vehicles, I'll get extra research points to put into my grinding.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should take off research on the Type 63 and put money in my SU-122, and then get the injects and keep that good 7.5.
I'm looking at your lineup right now, or your research tech tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would kind of do the method that I would do the method that I'm doing if I were you, but with how you're doing it, you're not using the most efficient way to get research, which
I mean, I'm using the IS-2 usually. Be my first one.
Right. But I'm looking at your bar down low. You do have the T-3045 guy, which you added back on because you replaced the PT-76.
I did. Good times.
That ZSD-63 is actually going to hurt you. Or is actually hurting you really bad right now.
Yeah, I imagine so, especially when I get those nice AA kills. Or most from... Actually, let me take...
Yeah.
I want to see how many planes I've killed with this thing.
Now, it's hurting you BR spread-wise, not not really research-wise. I mean, or not like rank-wise, because your research efficiency should be the same,
Yeah.
but because your battle rating's so much lower than your lineup, it actually affects your spawn points. So it'll be more spawn points and less silver reward and art and stuff like that for playing it, which is stupid, but it's a thing that happens in game.
Hmm.
Um, see, because it's not as bad as me with the uh, Chaffee, which I kept on way longer than what I needed to.
Yep.
Um, but with
This ZSD is really good AA though.
it, it's your second best vehicle for China and best ground vehicle.
Oh, I miss my Chaffee.
I replaced the Chaffee with the IS-2, so I replaced my light scout tank with the heavy.
IS-2 though is coming up close. My second most kills with the tank in China.
Yeah,
Broski. That was fun.
yeah. I don't know if I should put the um, duster, the Chinese duster, on my bar. I don't want to because I don't like the duster. I've never liked the duster.
Right. Well, I think it has 67 millimeters of pen, if 72. So it's actually not too bad. It has a all armor piercing for 72 if you can get some nice flanky flanks.
Right.
And it's pretty speedy. I should actually research that.
It was actually the first. It was the first rank 4 I researched because it was the lowest research, I think.
Hmm. I think
Um,
the Duster is better than the Hong Kong, in my opinion. Hong Kong being more survivable and having that hep around that helps, but really, Duster can
right.
dish out some
The dust,
damage.
the duster is faster and it is lower profile, I think. Um, yeah, I might do the duster. I just don't see a massive up. I don't see any upgrade really from it from
Right.
one to the other. Especially seeing that the Fyong Kong is at the same battle rating.
Hmm.
But the duster will help my research efficiency because it's a rank 4, so I can research rank 5 with it.
Yeah, that's. I mean, at the end of the day, though, like you could probably unlock it and never really. Yeah, the research.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure that whatever you end up choosing will be ultimately the best because top of the make the most efficiency out of everything. Level whereas I'll just
yeah,
throw out whatever I can that's fun.
yeah. I try to do efficiency of research, um, not necessarily efficiency of lines, but efficiency of research.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's this. After I have all these rank 4 vehicles, it's going to be quite a big change up of the meta that I'm used to playing. Like my China meta will be entirely different except for an IS-2, but it's going to be a different IS-2 at a higher battle rating.
When you get that though, let me know because then I'll pop my on.
Yeah, I mean I could buy it right now, but I'm waiting to see if they have a sale, a discount sale Friday, because they did that because Friday is Chinese New Year, from what I'm aware.
That's right. They also do it for purchasing new tanks too, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Dang it!
In
I should have
last
did that.
in last Chinese New Year, they did a 50% off sale, I believe, or a discount sale.
Oh, I bought it, not even
So
thinking.
so I'm hoping that it's going to be like that because I have 5 vehicles to purchase, and I also have 2 vehicles to finish researching, which is the M36 and the SU-100. Which the SU-100 you basically play as a Stug, but it has the same gun as a T4, so it's going to be an okay tank destroyer. I just don't care for casemates. I like to have turrets,
Hmm.
but um, yeah, it's going to be a strong lineup, but it's not going to be a lineup that really fits my playstyle to the best it could be. because the Type 63, the Type 63-1 is it's a big PT. It's a bigger PT-76 with a 85 millimeter gun and a hand crank turret. The Type 62, I love the Type 62. But it's basically a BT-5 with a hand crank turret and an 85 millimeter gun.
Yeah, that armor
Uh,
ain't much to look at.
yeah, neither one of them. So I'm going to go from a decent armor meta, which is the lineup I have right now. All of the vehicles except for the M18 have a really good armor meta to them. But this upgraded the rank 4 lineup after I have everything researched and put on my bar. There is no armor meta.
It goes away
Uh, yeah,
instantly.
except for the IS-2, which at that battle rating has even less of an armor meta because it's going to be up tiered to 6 Earth to 7-3, and people have heat quite prominently.
You can just annihilate this tank with a
Oh yeah,
LVT.
you can kill it with 50 cals from the side.
Ugh.
I have that tank in the Russian tech tree. It's actually a pretty. I don't think my stats on it are very good, but it's actually a really fun little tank.
At
I used to
least
use
it's
it.
somewhat fast.
Yeah, I used to use it with my T-54s.
And hopefully you won't get top down too much aside from the 50s when
Yeah,
they get close. You'll
yeah.
protect it against 30s. Well, at this BR, everything's gonna have like 50s and 20s probably. 30s, but I'm gonna catch you later, bro.
Okie dokie.